Pickaxe.
Hello and welcome back to the Review of Death, your fortnightly home for Doctor Who news and reviews. I'm Matthew Toffolo. I'm joined as always by Billy Garratt-John. How you doing, bud?
Very, very well, thank you.
Nice rim there.
Yes, we love to rim. We should, speaking of, talk about your how unwell you are at the moment. Matt went to he spat his drink out. Audio listeners, Matt
literally went everywhere. You bastard!
Sorry.
It's absolutely.
Sorry,
I'm
mate.
covered in tea. I've got important documents here. I have to go and get a tissue now.
Okay. Well, I'll
Keep 'em
stall
talking,
for time.
keep 'em listening.
I'll keep talking. Matt basically went to the Lady Gaga concert in something else has happened there in the background. He went to the Lady Gaga concert in London and has come back with something. Now, I have asked him, what did you do? Or more to the point, who? And he's not been able to give me a solid answer, but he's not feeling very well. So I think we'll just assume the worst happened, and we'll say no more about it. But today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about Castrovalva, which is, of course, Peter Davison's debut story. But we've got a bit of news at the top of the show, Matt, haven't we?
Yes, we do. I don't know what you were talking about in the time I was doing all that, but...
Don't worry about it.
We have some, potentially missing episode news, which is very exciting.
So I was away over the weekend when this dropped, so fill me in. What's been going on?
So, as far as we're aware, Film is Fabulous, who had previously mentioned, it was Sue Molden, had previously mentioned in an event in May about kind of what we'd already knew, that there were private collectors in the UK that had an episode or two of Missing Doctor Who, and, hopefully one day they'd get hold of it, we'd get to see it, and all would be lovely. But we sort of knew this anyhow. But then, I guess it was on Friday, on their Facebook page, they just sort of made an announcement that they have become a sort of fully fledged charity now. They've got charity status. And amongst that, they were replying to comments on Facebook. Obviously, people were asking about, what about Doctor Who? Because that's basically the one that everyone asks about. And they were like, well, actually, we did mention that there were a couple of episodes out there. Actually, there's more than one or two episodes out there. And they kind of suggested that they're in the process of hopefully securing them. And that they said that hopefully an announcement will be made presently. So fingers crossed, we might have some new old Doctor Who that we can watch and talk about on the podcast.
What a thrill. If they can't be making them in the current state of things, then we'll take some old
They're
new
digging
Who.
them up.
Yeah. That's really exciting. So expect a re-review of the Space Pirates when that inevitably turns out to be the episode that they've discovered.
What do you reckon it might be? Hazard a guess. What's your bet?
I'm going to hazard a guess and say, tricky. I would assume they're episodes that collectors would want for some sort of, material value, in that they feature something important.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be episode 3 of The Crusade. I don't know if that's one of the ones that survives, but you know what I mean? Or I don't know if it's going to be a historical, because although obviously that would be valuable, I don't know if it would be worth a collector sort of hanging on to for so long, or those sort of things being traded around. I mean,
that's a good point, actually, because I guess, there is this sense that some of these collectors kind of like to hoard these things. There's a bit of a, no, it's mine, I've got it, hard luck sort of mindset. That does, I guess that could be true.
It could be a couple of random episodes of the Daleks' master plan. It could be, absolute pie in the sky. It would be, Power of the Daleks and the last episode of 10th Planet.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones that people really want to see. I mean, Marco Polo would be a major revelation as well. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
And that has the same sort of value in that Doctor Who, as we can watch it traditionally, sort of stops at the end of Edge of Destruction. And we're missing that whole story. So I don't know. I will take anything, to be honest. But I'd like it to be something important in the Doctor Who story. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I think it will probably just end up being, a couple of orphan episodes, from different serials. I was sort of trying to put my second guessing cap on, and they were like, well, it seems pretty clear that they're not releasing any more 60s sets for the collection sets for a reason. And I'm sure that people at BBC Studios are aware of what Film is Fabulous have found and probably have known what is in collectors' hands for a considerable amount of time. So I was thinking, does that tie into stuff to do with animations? Because, it seems like something like The Highlanders, that's not been done yet, but maybe it could be like an episode of that, or maybe it's an episode from... the Smugglers kept getting mentioned a lot in terms of like an animation, and that never materialized. So maybe it's something from that. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess we haven't had an animation this year or a colorization. None of that's been announced. Oh, we had the Savages earlier.
We had
in
the
year,
Savages, yeah. But nothing else has come out in terms of like what's happening next. I do wonder if they will do any more colorizations. It does sort of feel like that's gone a bit quiet.
I mean, it's probably I'm not saying they'd be able to get the budget necessarily, but it's kind of one of the only things they can do with the show on ice. They could always do more Tales from the TARDIS, or whatever it was called, Tales of the TARDIS. I'd imagine that set is mothballed somewhere in several bits.
More than likely. They don't check anything away.
Anyway. No. So that's really, really exciting. Talking of seemingly dead things coming back, Battles in Time cards, unbelievably, are apparently returning.
That is insane.
Now, I can't imagine it's going to be the same sort of circulation we got, whatever it was, circa 2006, 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Where you pop into your local newsagents and there's your Yu-Gi-Oh cards, there's your Pokemon, there's your Match Attacks, and there's Doctor Who Battles in Time.
Yeah.
I kind of imagine it's going to go more the route that the action figures have gone in the collector's market.
Yeah, probably.
And the cards might be more expensive, or they might be of a higher value. Obviously, trading cards, reselling, grading has become like a massive thing over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it'll go down more of that sort of tops trading card route rather than, the sort of thing they were printed quite cheaply, weren't they? Because they were just for trading in the playground.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And I guess, we sort of mentioned this the other night when we were chatting privately. We sort of said, well, it's weird to have this coming out now when Doctor Who is off the air and seemingly remaining to be so. It doesn't look like there's an immediate future currently. So it does feel slightly odd. So perhaps you're right. It will just be kind of, falling back into that nostalgia collector's market, like you said, like the action figures currently are. I guess we'll pick up a packet or two and
absolutely
open them up and see how they compare to the old ones.
I hope that they dip into the classic series like those sort of final waves did.
Yeah.
And that constitutes the kind of bulk of the range, because that would be really, really neat to get some more Doctor Who trading cards. I've actually got upstairs some Doctor Who Match Attacks trading cards from maybe like 2013. Our friend Alana dropped them off with a bunch of other Doctor Who related bits and bobs. And they're quite nice cards, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm game. We'll see what we can do there.
And I guess the other thing is the Magic the Gathering cards didn't really take off.
Yes.
They were sort of like a flash in the pan. They were great, but they were. I mean, I guess they're so insanely expensive. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was like 40 quid for a few bits of paper. Insane. But hey, that's the whole trading card business. That's not the business I'm into.
I'm into plastic dollies.
I'm into plastic dollies, yeah. If it's not made of plastic and can move in 30 different ways, I don't want to know.
Hence the reason Matt's not very well.
Yeah.
And the final bit of news will come as a great surprise to, 1.3% of our listening audience. Big Finish are wrapping up the Torchwood range.
Yes.
Which is a shame because I've always been led to believe they're some of the better, consistent releases that Big Finish have done over the years. And it's going to be wrapping up with this 2-part story. There's like a final season, and then there's a 2-part story called Torchwood Legacy.
Right.
Which I'm almost certain will... Actually, I don't know saying that now. Do you think we're going to get a Barrowman rehabilitation? Do you think he's going to have to be mentioned at least in some of these final releases?
Yeah, I mean, it seems insane that you would round it off without mentioning Jack. Whether or not he'd be in it, I don't know.
I think the press release said something like celebrating 20 years of Torchwood and 10 years of Torchwood with Big Finish. Right. So I presume that, there'll be a lot of cameos.
He's going to be in Bristol soon. Shall I ask him?
Is he doing one of his shows?
He's doing Bristol Comic Con.
Is he? Oh, yes, yeah. He said. Where's Bristol Comic Con happening?
That's Ashton Gate, I think.
He said, yes. Okay.
I don't know if it's this month or next month, but...
the only time Matt will ever voluntarily visit
Ashton Gate.
our beloved Bristol City Football Stadium will be for Bristol Comic Con.
Nah, I'm all right. I'll keep away.
Unbelievable. Well, that's the news, unless there's anything else.
We lost John Woodvine from the Armageddon Factor the other day.
R.I.P.
A very good actor, and I feel like there was another actor that we've lost, but maybe not. But it does segue into today's story because we are talking about Castrovalva because we lost the late great Christopher H. Bidmead very recently, and we decided that to honour the great man, we'd discuss the opening story to season 19, Peter Davison's debut story. So, Billy, why do you hate Castrovalva?
I don't hate Castrovalva. I will say that from the off. Good. I don't hate Castrovalva.
Good. There were some worried comments. We had worried comments in the last episode where people being like, "Oh, you're gonna shit on it, like you shat on Warriors of the Deep." No.
Those are two very different beasts.
Very different. Yeah.
I liked Castrovalva, but I have to say I was watching the timer through the last sort of 30 minutes.
I thought you were going to say I was watching a ripped version off of VHS from public access television in 1988. You were, weren't you?
Actually from the New Jersey network.
Excellent.
I found it on a particular website of ill repute, and it was great. There's a particularly flashy moment where Peter's in the TARDIS doing the regeneration is failing.
Yeah.
And the videotape literally cuts out and goes snowy and fuzzy. It's great.
Fantastic. What nostalgia.
So I'll see if I can
you don't get that on Blu-ray.
You don't. It was also an omnibus edit, so I didn't have any of the cliffhangers.
Oh, okay.
But I could piece together where they go from previous viewings of the story. Yeah. So yeah, I did enjoy it, but I did find myself watching the clock run down for the last sort of episode and a half.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say that you for more like episodes 1 and 2, because obviously it's very TARDIS centric.
But I love that stuff.
Yeah,
generally.
Yeah,
and I think that the best of this episode is set in the TARDIS. I know not an awful lot happens.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to say that it's flatly directed because I don't think Fiona Cummings is a flat director. But there's not an awful lot to work with, in terms of a set like the TARDIS. I think they do a very good job of showing us elements of the TARDIS we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Like things behind the roundels, obviously the Zero Room, different corridors, the cricket club. We'll get onto all that stuff.
Yeah. The cricket club is...
It's ridiculous. But we love it. So yeah, I did enjoy it. But one thing we have to mention off the bat is there is an absence of a story in this story. A complete absence of a narrative.
I thought you were going to say there's an absence of colour because the first 2 episodes are grey.
And then the second 2 episodes are
sort of cream
granite, you know? This is a real... when I think of what 80s Doctor Who looks like, I think of Castrovalva straight away. Yeah. Because it's all kind of beige and creams and, you know, high... I don't want to say that high scientific concepts, but certainly thinking outside the box. And that is something that Chris Bidmead brought to Doctor Who. Yeah. Which I think is fantastic. And I think now, upon the conclusion of this review, we would have done all of his TV scripts. We've done Frontius.
Yeah,
we've done
Logopolis. Yeah.
And now Castrovalva. I don't know if there's another one that we've missed out. Or one that he was uncredited for or something. Nothing
springs to mind, but someone in the comments will correct us if we're wrong. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is worth mentioning, isn't it? That this is it is a direct sequel to Logopolis, and a lot of the threads from Logopolis tie back into this one, which is interesting, really, because I guess, you know, that's quite a considerable amount of time between Logopolis airing and then Castrovalva airing. You know, are people going to remember block transfer computations? Probably not.
I've already forgotten it, and I watched it 3 days ago.
Yeah. Is this the first Doctor Who to open with a pre-title sequence as well?
It is. And it's also interesting to note that the music has been reworked for this reprise because they wanted a slightly more upbeat rendition of the Regeneration theme for a new Doctor rather than the sort of morose, I am dying now, goodbye, that we got in Logopolis. I'm off to the pub. Fuck off. So yes, we get pre-titles, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
And then a slightly tweaked title sequence in that obviously we've got Davison's face in there now, but I think the logo is slightly tweaked as well.
Yeah, a few little bits, and like the stars are in slightly different positions. So they have redone it.
And then we're on a brownfield site, so you know we're in all the exotic locations, brownfield sites, forests with water that will give you dysentery, white walled TARDISes, and incredibly boring attempts at MC Escher interior design on Castrovalva. So somehow 3 Rozzers get distracted while attempting to arrest Tegan, Nyssa, and Adric and put the Doctor in the back of an ambulance. They get distracted by Matthew Waterhouse's glittering acting. They all surround him and go, he's very good, isn't he? He's going to go far, this lad. Which allows Nyssa and Tegan to steal an ambulance.
Go full Grand Theft Auto.
They go full Grand Theft Auto. Fucking one massively big point for the story. Soundtrack is absolutely cracking.
Paddy Kingsland's score, absolute banger. What a legend. Brilliant music in this one. I mean, we said it for Logopolis as well, but yeah, Paddy Kingsland always shines. This is just like quintessential 80s Doctor Who music. So good.
And I'm sure many of the cues appeared in Plastic Treachery.
Oh, yeah. I mean, now it's really weird watching 80s Doctor Who because I'm like, oh yeah, I used that for that bit.
And of course, if you want to watch our commentary of Plastic Treachery, go and check out the review of Death Patreon. Great soundtrack. If it's a bass heavy soundtrack as well. It's like a proper, you know, that opening chase tune is fab. So the Nyssa, Tegan, and the Fifth Doctor, the newly regenerated Fifth Doctor, get into the TARDIS. Adric gets pounced on by the police officers after a pathetic attempt to run away.
Yes.
And
let go of me. Ooh. Doing his best Pat Troughton.
That was a very good Matthew Waterhouse. That was a very good Adric, actually. And you're doing a good impression of hungover Matthew Waterhouse actually, at the moment, aren't you?
Yes. Oh my God. That on Blu-ray, he is as green as the fucking woods that they're walking in.
I
is
really
hilarious.
feel sorry for him. It's no wonder he goes completely missing in action for the vast majority of the story. I don't think that was a scripting decision. I just think he was, really suffering.
Recovering.
So
that's why he's in the web. He can't stand up on his own 2 feet, so they've just...
He's being held up.
Yeah.
We'll come onto the web in a second because that is quite something. So the Doctor escapes into the recesses of the TARDIS, leaving Nyssa and Tegan to watch the Master's TARDIS materialise, zap all of the coppers, and then Adric sort of disappear. I had to watch it again. Adric sort of wrestles free of the coppers and slides behind the Master's column, and then when Nyssa and Tegan run out and the Master's TARDIS dematerializes, Adric is sort of left in its place.
Yeah.
And then there's that great shot of the TARDIS dematerializing with the Master's column just sort of hovering above it, and then it vanishes too.
Yeah.
Adric, it's difficult with Adric because is he in a mesmeric state, or A, is he hungover, or B, is that just Matthew Waterhouse acting?
I mean, it could be a bit of all three, couldn't it, really? There's no real sort of consistency with his performance.
I don't think that's his fault, though, because in the TARDIS console room, when he starts fiddling with the controls, which obviously becomes a big plot point later on, he doesn't really say anything to Nyssa and Tegan, and then he goes off to find the Doctor.
He goes,
but when he's
0 room, I'll go, and then struts off, and you're like, all right, okay, you're not like some sort of like action man. And then the next shot of him, he's there holding like the remains of Tom's coat, looking all forlorn. So
he's probably thinking, fucking get out of here, you bastard. That's quite a nice visual, actually, the Doctor kind of shedding off his predecessor's costume. It's just a shame that, by the time he starts looking at himself in the mirror, he's not there in a string vest and sock suspenders. Of course, we haven't mentioned that Tom Baker's boots regenerated into shoes.
Shoes and socks, and not even the shoes that Tom Baker wore when he was in that costume. It was a completely different pair, but
Terrible.
What terrible continuity. It's because Tom Baker nicked the boots. Tom was like, they're comfy, I'll have those.
It's because they were full of fucking miniatures, probably. But
yeah, you're right. It is a good image, isn't it, of him unraveling the scarf? Although it is a cardinal sin that he would desecrate the costume like that.
And that's the original scarf, is it? They didn't just gimmick up a smaller version for him to rip apart.
I imagine it's one of the stunt ones. They probably because I think they had 2 or 3 of the season 18 one, but still. Bastard, don't rip it up. The thing is, because the way that scarf is made, if you were trying to unravel it to use it like the Minotaur, and you're like trying to get through a maze, the thing is, it'll just come off in like little bits because you'll have so much, and they'll be like, oh, that's the end of that row of orange. Now I'm on to something else. So,
what about the rules, Matthew? Come on.
Yeah.
So, Peter Davison's first moments, I think he slips into the role effortlessly.
Yes.
As
all that stuff that he does, pretending to be different doctors, that's a really nice touch.
His Hartnell's really good.
His Hartnell's great. Yeah, really good. And his Troughton and his Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Brigadier, if the Ice Warriors don't get there first. So there's a unit Ice Warrior story that we've never seen.
Big finish. Why haven't you jumped on that?
Because they're too busy making stuff that no one's buying. So, just like that, we're into the Davison era with Adric and the Doctor, the boys off having an adventure, and the girls left in the console room to do busy work until the plot needs them. Talk about if. Index file.
Index file, yeah.
So, I think that I do like the stuff with Nyssa and Tegan.
Yeah.
Especially when the Doctor sort of gives them jobs, and he does this kind of quite...
and it's not make the tea.
No, it's not. why didn't you make some tea?
He's not slipped into bad Troughton.
No, he's not. He's not slapped their arse on the way out of the room either, which is nice. But I do like the bit where he kind of, you're the navigator, you're the something or other. He gives them kind of jobs.
Yeah.
Adric, you're a fucking bumbling idiot. Don't touch anything.
Nissa's the DIY bod because she's got to assemble
a flat pack.
She's got to assemble a cabinet. I can see Nissa in like post TARDIS travels. Her post TARDIS life is going to be, she's like an influencer on Instagram who tells you how to do like IKEA hacks. It's like, I took this Billy bookcase and turned it into a 4-poster bed, and I'm going to show you how.
I've just fucking ruined this National Health Service wheelchair. Help me repair it. So anyway, while all this is going on in the TARDIS, and there's all this stuff about, what's the fucking word? Reciprocation?
Recursion.
And that comes back later on as well.
I like all that stuff. I like
there are threads.
Those little threads are nice. And like the logic of, index file and all that sort of stuff, and the flight system of the TARDIS. It's all, and it looks good. It's
cool to see all of that stuff. It was made on a BBC Micro, but it's cool to see it all.
Yeah.
So the Doctor finds his costume. He goes into the TARDIS Cricket Club. I wonder who left that out for him as a practical joke. Tom saying, "This fucker's going to be so addled, he'll think that looks good." So he leaves it out. But, of course, as we've kind of hinted at, Adric is not all there.
No.
And he's actually a mental projection from Adric's own mind.
Yeah.
Because Adric is being held prisoner in the Master's BDSM lounge. Now, I know a lot of people have taken the mick out of the way that looks.
Yeah.
I think it's a great bit of design.
It's cool.
And I really like the kind of, it's quite graphic, like the kind of almost shards of glass that are sort of pointing at Adric, and he's being kind of leaned into them.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really cool design. I think the problem is Anthony Ainley, I think this is not one of his best performances as the Master, I have to say.
Okay.
Anthony Ainley is a pantomime chin-stroking villain, not a Adric, I'm about to stick several thousand volts through you via these glass shards or whatever it is, and I'm going to kill you mercilessly. And also, Matthew Waterhouse isn't very convincing in his panic.
No,
about being cut to ribbons. So
I guess he's trying to put a bit of a brave face on, so he looks less like a blubbering wimp. Yeah, and I think in defence of Anthony Ainley, I love Anthony Ainley. He's great. In defence of him, he is saddled with that bloody truck. He's on that cherry picker, isn't he?
That is fantastic. And you can tell they've dipped the audio because otherwise it'd just be...
When we were watching it and he was like, why is he taking so long to respond? I was like, it's because... and you can watch it, can't you, on the Blu-ray? If you watch the studio tapes, you can literally hear it going... and he's just there like... And, fair play to him. He's doing stuff like, right, okay, how can I make it seem like I'm not waiting for this fucking thing to stop being loud? And he's like looking at his little doohickey and he's looking up in the air like, the web, and just like inspecting it. And you're like, okay, bless him. Fair play to Fiona Cummings. It was a cool idea. It gives it a sense of scale, but it just doesn't work in terms of pacing and practicality.
Not at all. It's a nice idea, but they should have known better. So the Master's plan, because plan A, I'm sure there were many plan A, B, C, D all the way through Logopolis, but the main plan of chucking the Doctor off of the Pharos project didn't work. Well, that was his fallback.
Yeah.
So he's decided to mentally project Adric into the TARDIS to do his evil bidding and pilot the TARDIS to the Big Bang and send the Doctor and his friends into the inrush of hydrogen and oxygen or whatever it is into the centre of Event 1 to kill them all.
He should have sent them into that sitcom from the early 2000s. That would have finished them off.
What's that one?
The Big Bang.
I've never heard of that.
Big Bang Theory?
Oh, Big Bang Theory. Oh, yeah. That is absolute shite. So, yeah, they set the TARDIS controls to Event 1 to kill the Doctor, and the TARDIS is heating up, and everybody's in a bit of a panic. I think the tension of that stuff is quite good, because obviously you've got the Doctor hibernating in the Zero Room. I think that effect shot of him hovering, besides the kind of halo around him, I think works quite well. The kind of the way that it pivots on his side, so it's not just a straight, and
the score works as well, isn't it? When he's like, Peter's really good in this. The way that he walks through those doors and he goes from that like addled, exasperated, not quite there, and then he sort of does a bit of a Christopher Reeve with Superman, whereas he like goes in as like bumbling Clark Kent, and then he sort of straightens himself out and he's like, oh, okay, I'm the Doctor. And then he puts his hands in his pockets and they're like, okay, this is his Doctor. There's also another bit earlier on, which I really like, where when he's in his addled state, he puts his hands to his head and then he feels his hair as if he's like, shit, where have all my curls gone? Which is a nice little touch. All that stuff, like you said, with it getting warm, and they've like added that sort of smoky effect over the top. It works really well.
It does. So
and like the lipstick melting, that's a cool little nice indicator as well. Yeah.
And also the girls start stripping off. Not like that.
You got to wait till Terminus.
Got a couple of years to wait there. Farewell, my friends. Farewell forever. Which is a fucking great line. So the Doctor stumbles out of the Zero Room.
Yeah.
And collapses into a heap on the floor. And then the TARDIS medical roundel, which has suddenly appeared, opens up and dumps a load of medical equipment on him. Thank fuck there wasn't a scalpel in there, because that would have been dicey. So he gets to the console room in his National Health wheelchair, doing about 2 miles an hour, and starts doing circles of the
donuts,
doing donuts and wheelies. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but it is unintentionally funny seeing him, particularly with Peter Davison, sort of his very stern expression, and the fact that he doesn't really move his body at all, and he's just sort of pivoting around on this thing. It does make me laugh, I have to say. And the plan is, in order to escape Event 1,
it's to get enough velocity, isn't it, to push the TARDIS out of the drawer.
Mass equals out velocity or speed or something
it's all
like
maths.
that.
It's all maths
stuff.
We don't understand, but Mr. Bidmead used to like.
But Tegan does a really nice job of just condensing it down to ZEP, which works for me.
Yeah.
So they delete a load of rooms in the TARDIS to escape this the Big Bang, but they accidentally delete one of the Zero Room.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole tension about, what if we delete the console room while we're inside of it, and what if we jettison Adric's room? Who gives a fuck? There's nothing in there. He wears the same shirt all the time, and the only thing he loves is his badge. It's an empty room. And
what if we jettison Adric? Good.
And who's Adric? So
we'll get to that in a few stories' time. Don't worry.
They get away. Oh, that is something that's worth mentioning, actually. So this was recorded 4th in production order.
Yeah.
And I did note that Fiona Cumming told the cast to act less familiar with one another. And I think they all do a really, really good job. And I think it would be especially difficult for Peter, having, I guess at that point, figured out at least his tone of voice and his physicality in the role, to then kind of unwind all of that and reach a point that makes sense for the subsequent story to match. But I think they all do a really, really good job of that, considering it was shot 4th in the run.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, they're all very, very good in this one.
So that the Master slowly hovers in glee towards Adric as he sees the TARDIS hit Event 1.
Yeah.
But then says, after the first trap has failed, that don't worry, I've set another one.
Yeah, a trap within
just
a
in
trap.
case, because I don't trust that I can do this, because 9 times out of 10 it never works.
Yeah.
So I always have a backup for my backup.
It's very Curse of Fatal Death, this, isn't it? It's very much like, oh, I went back in time and talked to the architect first. Yeah, it is hilarious to think that the master is there like, well, just in case this goes tits up, like it tends to do, I make sure I got something else just in case. I mean, what's he going to do with Castrovalva if he'd have just blown up the Doctor?
Just go there for a holiday.
Yeah.
Just rule over his little kingdom, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because the TARDIS tells the crew to take the Doctor to Dwelling of Simplicity, not Milton Keynes, Castrovalva, to aid the Doctor's recovery. And obviously they've jettisoned the Zero Room, so this is going to act as a Zero Room for him.
Yeah.
But then they take bits of the Zero Room apart and build a cabinet anyway. Out of IKEA flat pack furniture. I love the TARDIS landing. Yeah,
on a
which is
wonk.
Which is weird because you're led to assume that it's landed on a wonk because Tegan landed the TARDIS, but actually it was kind of on autopilot anyway. So it's just landed really badly.
I've got a theory about this. I put this at the end where when she's like, "Oh, you mean I didn't? I did it," and then he's like, "Nah, you didn't. That's impossible. It was all the master." I reckon he's talking bollocks. I reckon she actually did pilot the TARDIS, and the Doctor, being the Doctor, is like, "Shit, I don't want one of those plebs thinking they can pilot my ship."
We'll be at Heathrow every other week.
Yeah, so I'll just gaslight her into thinking that she didn't do it. Nah, no, it was the master. Sorry, love.
Terrible. So from here on out, once we land on Castrovalva, we get, I think, a fat lot of nothing for about half an hour.
Yeah.
And
wet arses.
One of the, yeah, right. But one of the most egregious parts of the whole thing is no one mentions Adric for about an hour.
No.
Which I think is really funny. Yeah. Nobody's concerned about where he is. No. Around the time that the TARDIS goes into meltdown, to the point where Adric appears in a mirror like the fucking nun, he's not mentioned on the screen, which is about 45 minutes maybe of screen time, which I think is hilarious. So there's a lot of...
him. Forgot about him.
There's a lot of wandering around and Tegan and Nyssa being stalked by these feathery villains.
Yeah, they're letting the location do all the work, aren't they? And it is a lovely location. It looks beautiful, and even better in HD. But yeah, nothing much is going on. Obviously, there's some funny bits with like the wheelchair going into the river and Nyssa falling in as well and pulling her face.
That's about 20 minutes, that bit there.
Yeah.
That's about 20 minutes of story. Because it goes from... The only note I've got while they're wandering around, apart from, I like the look of the Castrovalvans' outfits, is bits of the cabinet are splitting on location.
Oh, really?
Bits of... Like, I think there's a shot with Nyssa and Tegan carrying it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the roundels on the kind of bottom corner has sort of split on the edge a little bit. That might have just been my really shit, New Jersey Network copy of Castrovalva.
I wouldn't be surprised because, I mean, as someone who owns a roundel, they are like the flimsiest bit of fiberglass. So, yeah, that isn't going to last. Like you said, it is something of nothing, that part. It does feel like padding until they actually get to Castrovalva. A little bit earlier, I forgot to mention when you said about the Master's farewell, my friends, Nyssa makes a remark because he like beams it into the console room, does he, on the scanner, just to add insult to her injury. And Nyssa says, "Oh, that face, I hate it." And it's like the only indication we really get as like, oh yeah, by the way, that used to be her dad.
It was her dad's face maybe 48 hours ago.
Yes, yeah.
In real time.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really, that there's not space. I mean, there is space for that to be explored because, like we've just discussed, they spend 10 minutes just walking up and down fucking green hills and dales. But, yeah, it's a shame that they never really go into detail in exploring the effect of that on this Earth. But, it is what it is. The Castrovalvans turn up. They're great. Like I said, they have a really nice design. And it's a sort of clever subverting of our expectations because you sort of see them and they've got their spears and stuff. You think, oh, these are going to be like savages. And then they're not. They're all like learned men. They're pharmacists and librarians and all these sorts of things, which is a clever little twist on the usual sort of thing. It
is a kind of blessed relief that we don't have to do 2 episodes of who are the strangers? We don't trust the strangers. The strangers must die. And then finally, in the last part, they all go, oh, okay, you can help us then. It's nice. It's nice to kind of, and I think that also ties into, I think part of the reason, I'm not to speak for everybody, but I think part of the reason why so many people like this story is that it is very gentle.
Yes.
It is very easygoing.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the Castrovalvians are so agreeable is part of that because you don't get all the kind of tense, like I said, episode 3 syndrome where suddenly everybody has to agree that the Doctor's not a bad guy for the final time.
And I mean, it's like you said at the beginning, Fiona, like you said Fiona Cummings, she's not like a flat director, but this is not an action-based story. So there's not really an awful lot you can sink your teeth into, particularly in a studio setting.
It's no story, Matt. There is no story.
But you're right. It is. There is a comfort element to it where it does feel very cozy. And I know that's why like Annie really likes it. One thing that is really a shame is the disparity between being on location and then them going to the studio, because when you see Peter climbing up all those rocks is great, and then when they get to the entrance, obviously there's that whole cliffhanger with the blood where we think, oh my god, they've bludgeoned the Doctor, but it just turns out the Doctor's been following the hunting party with their wild boar, whatever it is they've got. But when he goes to the entrance and then he cut to the studio, the entrance is, as scripted, lit to be at night time, but then we cut back to Nyssa and Tegan and it's like broad daylight, and it's like, oh, what a shame.
I think we only get one exterior at night, don't we, when they're kind of on the rock face freezing their tits off.
Yeah. So that's a shame that they couldn't have just said, well, look, we're on location, let's just do it all here and be done with it. Michael Sheard, he turns up, making another grand appearance in Doctor Who. I don't know how many it is by this point. At third, fourth?
Possibly
fourth, I think.
Third. Okay. Nice to see him.
Dominator. No, is he in the Dominators or the Crotons? They're both shit.
Remember.
So they're sort of like
one.
They really do, don't they? Those two. Maybe that's that might be one to do in the future. Which is which? So he's in that one. He's in The Mind of Evil. He's in Pyramids of Mars. He's in
so it would be four and then fifth.
Invisible Enemy. And this is his fifth.
So this is fifth and then sixth in Remembrance.
Yeah, wow.
Impressive. Well done.
What a shame we didn't get him in the new series. He'd have been great.
I know. It would have been a full kind of circuit for him of the Doctor Who scene.
Yeah.
So we meet Shardavan. The only two names you really need to worry about, or three names, is Portreeve, Shardavan, and Murgrave, or whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those are the only names you need to be concerned with in this story, besides the regulars. So Shardavan he's basically he's the librarian, isn't he, of Castrovalva, but he assumes a sort of deputy prime minister role in this community. Then there's the Portreeve.
He's the guy that everyone's like, oh, he's clearly the baddie. He's obviously something to do with the Master because he's got a black beard and he's all dressed in black and he looks a bit shifty.
Which would work if the Portreeve didn't look so much like Anthony Ainley.
Well, you say this, and you know,
I do say this, and I was watching a shit VHS copy, and it's still Anthony Ainley.
It is obviously Anthony Ainley, but Sophie Aldred didn't realise it was Anthony Ainley when she watched it on behind the sofa. She was.
I was going to say, when she watched it when it first went out, when she was probably sat in a bedsit in North London off her face on grass.
And Annie didn't realise it was Anthony Ainley either. So
what, on first viewing? Not
first
when
viewing,
you just watched it the other day.
No, she was in that. So
I like the poor Treve, if only for the reason that he's committed.
Yes.
That he didn't know which hat to wear, so he decided to put two on. And I love that look. I think he looks great. But it is very clearly Anthony Ainley, and he's doing his best, I'm an old man impression by kind of like hunching over. But
he does it well, though. He does the difference between his performance as the poor Treve and his performance as the Master are strong enough that you
it's
can
just
almost.
a shame he still looks like Anthony Ainley.
Yeah, maybe they should have done something else with his face.
We could have done a Khalid. That worked. I didn't know that was the Master.
No one knew why either.
And there's a great bit as well when the Doctor is sort of taken to his quarters and the poor Treve is there. He kind of comes in through a door in the back of the room, which I'm sure is how he gets in to stalk and feel at members of the Castrovalva community in their rooms at night, because you never see that door open again. And he says, I'll leave you to sleep, Doctor. And he goes to sleep. Why didn't he just fucking knife him there and then in his bed? Why didn't he just put a pillow over his face? He's not very strong. He's not in a good state. You could have just done him.
That is true. That is true.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the girls eventually get in, and they find the Doctor's room, and then Adric turns up in the Doctor's room, which you think is so obviously the Master's there as well.
Yeah.
So
he just left the room.
Cool. he just wandered out. But is this a mental projection of Adric, or has Adric managed to wriggle out of his bonds?
No. That's
excuse me. Of course, we see the tapestry later on, don't we? And he's hiding behind it.
Yeah, that's mental Adric. That's why he disappears.
That's why he can't do that in real life.
Yeah, he's not usually got the powers of teleportation. But it is a nice. I like the setting of Castrovalva. I gotta say this. I like the idea that this was once a sort of a great technological planet, and now they've gone back to simplicity and they've sort of forgotten all that stuff. And I like the idea of the Doctor is in search of himself and all that kind of stuff. I think is a nice. It's a very original way of the Doctor finding himself that hadn't been done before.
True.
Because I think
that sort of respite comes back later on, which is a nice touch. So it's kind of the first time we see, besides John Pertwee spending most of the first episode of Spearhead from Space in bed. Yeah. And
also in a wheelchair. And
in a wheelchair.
Yeah. They could have had races together.
Yeah.
Although I think John Pertwee goes a lot faster than that electric one.
Almost certainly.
He's
got sheer manpower.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's got navy arms.
So the Adric appears in the mirror.
Yeah.
And tells Nyssa, "Don't tell anybody I'm here."
Yeah.
She then tells Tegan off screen, I think. Straight away.
Yeah. Guess who I saw?
Guess who I saw in a mirror? Who? Adric.
Oh,
Adric.
fuck. Thought we killed him.
No, I don't remember an Adric. The fucking annoying guy who's... Oh, yeah. I haven't seen him for a bit. That's strange. The Doctor does some sort of thing with the mirror. He says it's backed with silver. I don't think... Does that ever get picked up on again?
He says it's backed with silver. That's to block out the recursive reclusion.
Fuck off, Chris. Seriously.
I guess it's kind of like with the Mara that it... I don't know. There's that nice moment with him and the little girl where this is how he remembers that Adric exists when he's like,
we found a child actor worse than Matthew Waterhouse. You go, oh yeah, him.
So
We love him. It's all tongue in cheek. We say in the description it's a tongue in cheek Doctor Who podcast. We don't mean any of this.
That's our disclaimer, so we don't get bollocks. So that's a nice little moment, and obviously, it leads into where's Adric, and they're like, who? And he's like, come on, don't mess me about, you silly buggers. And then we have the reveal of the MC Escher painting itself in real life of Castrovalva, which, for a BBC budget, doesn't look too bad. Now, we watched this with the Blu-ray special effects on, and sometimes, as we've discussed with like certain special effects, alternative special effects, I should say, on these Blu-rays and DVDs, sometimes they work and they're very sort of respective of what you see in the 80s. Sometimes they're a bit too overblown, and it's like, it doesn't really feel like it fits within the story. Gotta say, they did a really, really good job with Castrovalva. It feels very much like part of the actual makeup of the story.
Nice.
And particularly that bit looks really good. They've done a lot with it. So it's a nice visual that of the world being all topsy-turvy. And then of course you've got Peter's great, we're caught in a space-time trap,
which is a great reading.
Yeah.
The first time he looked at that script and probably thought, oh God, I've got a lot of rubbish to say in this show, haven't I? So
when do I stick my hand up a cow's arse?
All the while, we're trying to keep up the pretense that Shardavan is the bad guy.
Yes.
And we've got the very helpful Murgrave, who draws his map of Castrovalva on the back of the mirror.
That's
Somebody
a lovely
else comes
scene.
along. That is a really nice bit. I like that bit a lot. And the Doctor's been reading the history of Castrovalva in the collected texts, and says there's something not quite right about it. What that is, I'm not too sure. And I know they mention that, why do we go hunting? And they talk about the kind of the practices of the Castrovalvians.
Yes.
But I'm not entirely sure what has been fabricated. I mean, I guess the whole thing is being made up by
the whole thing
Master.
is a fiction.
But they can't quite put their finger on besides the
It's the first page. It's the first page which says any of the characters featured in this book.
Copyright the Master. So
any resemblance to those persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Especially that bloke who's been in 4 previous episodes of Doctor Who.
Exactly. Now, one of my favourite lines, might be one of my favourite lines in all of classic Doctor Who.
Right.
Margrave, or is it Shardavan, when he turns up to see the Doctor in his room, and there's a rabble of people outside. And he says, why are all these women here? Is it a holiday? Great line.
What a line.
Great line.
Oh, you wouldn't get away with that these days, would you?
So there's a bit of subterfuge here with the Zero Cabinet.
Well, I tell you what, he's on the right track, Shardavan, because those washerwomen are washing the clothes in the Zero Cabinet. There's no bloody water in there. You're not going to get those skid marks out of your husband's wife fronts if you don't put any Daz and a bit of water in there. God damn.
Daz? What is Daz? Let me refer to the ancient texts. We have no Daz. It is a lie. The Zero Cabinet is taken to the Portreeve. The Doctor's elsewhere, so they filled the Zero Cabinet with books. The Doctor's off talking to Shardavan and tells him that Castrovalva's history is an entire fabrication.
Yeah.
And then it's basically the finale where Portreeve says his Windows screensaver will help the Doctor's illness. And the Portreeve finally reveals himself as the Master. Adric entered the information on Castrovalva into the TARDIS's databank, and the whole of Castrovalva and its society, which I found a bit confusing because they say all of Castrovalva is a block transfer computation, which suggests the entire planet is fake, but it's actually just the city and the people within the city.
And the people,
So I wish they would have said the city of Castrovalva and its citizens are all a block transfer computation.
They're all maths.
They're all maths.
They're living, walking maths. Which
There's
is like
nothing more exciting than that.
my worst nightmare.
The master tries to TCE the zero cabinet open. But then
That's
when
the
that fails,
worst thing to do. He's just going
I know.
to shrink the bloody thing.
make the thing tiny. But when all else fails, reaches for a nearby crowbar and tries to jimmy it open, which I thought was great. The tapestry is showing the Doctor's movements around Castrovalva. It's so panto with the master's back turned to it, and it's like, don't turn around because he'll see the Doctor's on his way.
He's behind you. Yeah, it is funny. And obviously, at this point, now that the Portreeve has revealed himself to be the master, Anthony Ainley is like, right, I'm ready to go full fucking ham with this.
Full batshit.
Yeah. Which is great, but yeah, it is quite funny.
It is, especially when Shardavan swings from the chandelier here into the web.
And you don't actually see him. You just sort of see him. You don't see the impact.
No, he just disappears.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, he's dead, by the way. Oh.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And the master starts wailing, my web! My beautiful web! Which is great.
It is quite sad, though, isn't it? The idea that none of them exist, because you kind of...
I thought you were going to say that the master's plan hasn't worked again, and he's really upset that his thing's broken.
And that too. Because I feel like by episode 4, we've kind of become quite attached to Murgrave and...
him particularly.
Yeah, and the other little guy, whatever his name is, Jeff. And for them to then just be like blinked out of existence, it is kind of like, oh, that's really quite...
very little kind of reflection.
Yeah.
But I suppose at the end of the day, they were just maths, so it doesn't really matter.
they were just maths, so who cares? It was like someone just rubbing out an equation on a piece of paper in a maths GCSE.
It is quite affecting.
Yes.
Finale, because the master is sort of being taken down by his own creations.
Yeah.
And
tearing his clothes off.
Tearing his clothes off. Ainley's going, Doctor, leave before this gets too good. And but it's kind of, it's like a rousing kind of
it's arousing.
No. It's a oh fuck. It's downbeat. But it also has a slightly kind of, it's melancholic, but it's also kind of, I can't think of another word.
There's a triumphant sort of, yeah.
But that's kind of bittersweet because they all die.
Yeah.
And you get the sense that's going to happen anyway. And, but very 80s Doctor Who to have all of these people wiped out and then immediately the Doctor's like, right, some celery. You didn't pilot the TARDIS because you're shit. Let's fuck off somewhere else.
You're hungover as fuck.
Yeah.
Let's go for a jog. Oh, bless him, Matthew Waterhouse. He does look like he is about to die. It is so funny. And then that's it. We have the final little line from Peter, which is it's absolutely splendid. Is that right?
Whoever I feel like it's absolutely splendid, which is really nice.
Which is a great little ending. Yeah.
And that's Castrovalva. Shall we turn to the critiques of our rodders?
Yes.
Before we give our... you give us your...
One little line that I really like, back to that scene with the map, when that he's trying to say, oh, my pharmacy's here and it's along here. And the Doctor downs that concoction that he keeps giving him, and he rolls off what the ingredients are. And he says, oh, medicine, Doctor. And Davison says, not as much as you, but I'm afraid one of us is deluded about geography. What a great little line. Nice little moment there.
Very nice
cut the
line.
Scene. I really enjoyed this story. I see why, I can see why people might not like it, because like you said, there's not much happening sort of part way, but I do enjoy all the stuff on Castrovalva, and I do enjoy all the stuff on the TARDIS at the beginning. I think there's enough there that it works, and it doesn't need to be too action heavy. I think it's a nice opening story to introduce a new Doctor. I mean, obviously, there's now 1 million Doctors, and we've had 1 million introductory stories, some more successful than others. But this one I would certainly put up there as among the better ones, for sure.
It is. I would absolutely agree. I think it's very pretty, besides the kind of general beigeness.
Yeah.
I find it a little bit hollow. I don't get the same warm hug vibe from it. I think it is very much a vibes story.
Yeah.
It's very much a curl up on a Sunday afternoon with an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And my general aversion to sort of early to mid 80s Doctor Who sort of scuppers that for me slightly, so I can't be, all over it.
Yeah.
Anthony Ainley, I think it's not one of his best performances as the Master, but I do think you can't fault him for application. And just sheer aplomb and just going for it. And he always gives it his best, even if the material isn't necessarily always there.
He is more menacing in Logopolis. There's more of a threat, I think, to Anthony Ainley's Master in Logopolis compared to this one. This one is when he really starts to feel like, okay, he's leaning into the pantomime a little too much. And perhaps it is the element like, he's in disguise. And, it is like a plan within a plan and all this sort of stuff. So maybe it does make him feel a bit more cartoony because of it. But I think he does a good job. Cast-wise, I think everyone's really, really strong in this one. Peter does a fantastic job. I think he did, like you said earlier, he does a really great job of that balance of finding himself as his Doctor and, the more confused Doctor. And, Janet and Sarah do a really good job sort of carrying it, because obviously they are leading a lot of the story for much of it. And all the Castrovalvan cast are good as well. So yeah, I always enjoy Castrovalva, and obviously it's the end of that like little trilogy, isn't it? It's the last part of that Keeper of Traken, Logopolis, and Castrovalva trilogy. I mean, obviously, I know that's something that fandom has sort of projected onto those three stories.
Well, having them in a box set probably helped.
That probably helps, yeah. It's funny that, isn't it? I was thinking that when we were watching it. It's like, it's weird now watching things as like season box sets, which was never really an experience Doctor Who fans had with home media. It was always individual stories either on VHS or DVD. So it kind of feels weird because you almost sort of feel like, oh, I watched these three stories, in sort of quick succession. But you don't, you've got Traken and Logopolis, and then you've got so many months before Castrovalva comes on. So it's not, it's funny, isn't it? It's
but they work together really well. I think there's a consistency of production at this stage where they do feel kind of seamless in the way that they meld together. Yeah. You mentioned that's the last of the trilogy. There's a couple of firsts for this story that I want to get to, actually, just very briefly, before we read out some comments. First story to credit the lead role as the Doctor.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
And first twice weekly broadcast of Doctor Who, Monday and Tuesday, rather than the traditional Saturday tea time
yes,
slot.
Of course, it all changed, yeah.
Liz Slade and Louise Jameson were both asked to return, but turned the offer down due to scheduling conflicts because they wanted old companions to ease the introduction of a new Doctor in.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, Patrick Troughton apparently stood in for Peter Davison during camera rehearsals because he was visiting the set.
Wow.
I'd like to see those pictures.
God, could you imagine that? Wow.
I've got my costume with me as well. So this is first comment here from the Jammy
Janet
Doctor.
And Sarah Sutton and was just like, I'll stick around for a bit. Yeah.
What are you guys doing afterwards? The Jammy Doctor, I always misremember this as being fairly boring and uneventful, even for a post-regeneration story. And then whenever I actually watch it, I always find myself enjoying it.
Yeah.
Anakin Larnock, never really loved the first half. I think a lot of it probably could be good if I watched it again, but I don't have the fondest of memories. I like the stuff in Castrovalva itself, even if it's short-lived. I'll always remember this as being the last of the New Beginnings trilogy, a DVD set with the Keeper of Traken and Logopolis. It's my favourite. It's my least favourite of the three, but still a good way to end off and start a new season as well.
Interesting. See, I don't like Trocken so much.
No, I've never really been a fan either.
No. Yeah.
I did try to watch that in isolation a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months ago. And I remember kind of enjoying it and going along with it. But it's almost a whole lot more nothing than this story. Because at least, okay, there isn't a lot of story in the first two parts where we're mainly on the TARDIS. But there's a dynamism to it and there's a lot going on.
Yes, yeah.
But Traken is just kind of, it's beige in story, not necessarily in design.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a lot of just mooching about, I find. You know, they're locked up for a bit, they're in the gardens for a bit, the statue's there, oh, now they're in the room with the old git in the chair.
It's entirely studio bound, unlike this, which
helps.
Does give it that slightly kind of locked in feel, like, I'm locked into this setting now for the next hour and 40 minutes. Like,
yeah. And like, considering that it's all set in like gardens and things, it's a shame they couldn't be like, oh well, let's find a posh garden somewhere. Let's go to some stately home, and we could get some really nice stuff there.
And maybe leave the Merca behind afterwards, and just leave it as an ornament in someone's garden. Yeah,
that'd be a cool one to have, wouldn't it? Well, that'd be a cool prop actually in your garden.
It would be really cool. I'd take that over a weeping angel in the garden.
Yeah.
Jack Garton, always been a go-to comfort story for me. I love how easy it is to go from Logopolis to this new Doctor. The TARDIS has always been one of my favourite elements of all Chris Bidmead stories, and he obviously loved the TARDIS as well. Yeah. I love getting an insight into what actually exists beyond the control room. Yeah, such a good story.
That's true. Yeah, we never really sort of went too much into that, but that is nice to see the expanse of the TARDIS, because I think this is probably the most we've seen of the TARDIS since the 60s. I know you get a little bit of it in like Mask of Mandragora, but you know, in the 60s, obviously we see quite a lot of the living quarters and, you know, the food machine and all that stuff, and it feels like a lived-in place. This story doesn't necessarily feel lived in so much, because you don't really see like other people's bedrooms. Obviously you will latterly in later stories, like the Visitation.
You do see what you can only assume to be Romana's room or Lala Ward's room after the divorce, that the Doctor's boxed everything up and not bothered to send it to her.
Yeah, because Tegan's like, oh, this room's not been used for centuries. No, it's only recently, surely.
Byron Bancroft, it's one that I watched somewhat early on in my discovery of Davison's era, and one I never knew what to make of. I think it's a very clever story, and I like the general vibes, but it's such an anomaly for the Saywood J&T period, and an odd starting point for a real up and down run of the show. And finally, A. Bradley Stocks. It just feels a bit meandering and devoid of threat for me until the Master unveils himself at the end. And whilst it has some interesting concepts and visuals, the story's ambition exceeds its budget. The opening episode is enjoyable enough, with the TARDIS being pulled back to the Big Bang and Davison doing a Tennant and going to sleep for a large chunk of the narrative. An ambitious but flawed intro to the Doctor. And I can't believe I'm coming away saying I think that's a bit of a harsh criticism of this story, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more. So, hey, I'm a converted man. It's happened.
There we are. God, you've seen it here first, folks. 2025, the year of Peter Davison.
Never thought I'd see the day.
Great stuff. Well, that was fun. Do you know what? Watching that story, I mean, obviously we watched Terror of the Zygons last, which was obviously phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But this really was, when I watched it with Annie a couple of weeks ago, it was a very cozy, like you said, Sunday afternoon. We just curled up on the sofa, cup of tea, and thought, right, let's watch this. And yeah, it was just nice. It was just a very pleasant viewing experience. So
that's the way to do it.
It was great. But next time, we're going a bit more down the spooky route.
We are going down the spooky route. We are, of course, careering towards Halloween. It is October. It is the spooky season. So next up, we are going to be doing a review of the Matt Smith Series 5 two-parter, Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone. Is that the right way round? I believe it is.
Yes,
the Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone.
Yeah.
And we've got some really fun stuff, I hope, coming up on the Patreon. At the end of the month, we've got a commentary of a British horror film from 2000 called The Asylum, which stars Colin Baker, not in a leading role, but he is there. And also as a nice dovetail to our Red Dwarf reviews, which are going to be coming towards the end of November. It also stars Chloe Annette.
Wow. Gosh.
So it's a veritable who's that of acting talent.
Yes.
And into November, we've got a massive review coming of the Daleks' master plan.
Yeah.
And then a couple of tier loss.
What happens if they turn around in a couple of weeks' time and say, "Oh, we found it.
We found it."
Maybe we put the brakes on it and do
we might
something
have
else.
to.
We
We'll
might have
see. That we'll pencil that one in. It's got a big circle around it. Hopefully they find it. We've got a couple of tier lists and a couple of festive themed videos to round out the year, including a non-Doctor Who related commentary for Christmas, which I checked the running time of and we may regret, but we'll see.
Okay. Do I know about this?
Yes, I mentioned it months ago, but don't worry if you don't remember. I will remind you of. Actually, if you can. Oh no, I won't say bleep me out because that will mean you have to edit it and you're not feeling very well. So I'll tell you once we're off air.
Lovely. All right then. Well, that's an exciting one for me. And of course, we just did Probe as well. We did Probe the Devil of Winterbourne. If you want more Peter Davison,
it's Peter Davison's season at the moment.
It is, isn't it? You can find us taking the mickey out of that over on Patreon as well, which was good fun.
And there's more probing to come in the new year.
Lovely. Love a good bit of probing. So there we go. So thank you everybody for watching. Give us a like, give us a comment, all these things that help us. And we will see you then for Matt Smith and the Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone, which is now being repeated on BBC Three.
So enjoy.
See you then. Ta-ra. Bye-bye.